What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Saturday's early evening Anfield Agenda News Roundup. Today I'm going to be talking about Federico Chiesa and his future. We're going to give you some words on Arne Slot on why Luis Diaz and Darwin Núñez weren't included today. We're going to speak about the search for a centre-back, as Arne has spoken about that as well. Malik Fofana, is he off to Everton? Well, it's certainly moving along. We're also going to discuss the future of Alexander Isak and lots more bits and pieces. The good news, I will be back tonight at 8:30 for the late night agenda, where I hope you can join me. Obviously, we're off the back of that 4-2 defeat today by AC Milan over in Hong Kong. I'll give you a few thoughts on that as well. Lots more to come, as I've mentioned, over the next few minutes, but I want to know your thoughts. So let me know in the comment section. Drop a like on the video if you enjoy it, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Right, I have a lot to go through, folks. I'm not going to hang around. We're going to get straight into the news. A report in Football Italia said that Atalanta could sell Ademola Lookman to Juventus in a deal worth about €50 million before then turning their attention to signing Federico Chiesa as his replacement. Now, we know that Chiesa was obviously left out of the travelling squad for the pre-season tour. Romano said that it was because he was looking for a move away. James Pearce said because he was nursing an injury or fitness concerns, and certainly I believe the Romano side of this one. Now let's move on to talk a little bit about Alexander Isak, because there's lots of developments today that I will take you through on that as well. So Romano said today that Isak has already turned down Saudi options. He says that he knows that his wish is to remain to play at the highest level in Europe. The real club in concrete talk for Isak was, is and remains Liverpool Football Club. Keith Downey, covering for Sky Sports News, said this about Eddie Howe's comments on Alexander Isak's future. I've welcomed players back to the group and I've sold players. It's all part of being a football manager. Every situation we will take on its individual basis. But there is a wider picture here. There's a whole football club that has to make a decision. The manager has an opinion, but ultimately the decision rests with the board, especially with the money involved in modern day transfers. I see this challenge as part of the job. I've had a good grounding at Bournemouth in my early career, and when a player who did well was gone, the club will make the right decision with all the information that it has. Ultimately, the club will move forward. We're trying to improve the standard as best we can, regardless of Alexander's situation. The team never stands still, and that's always the way it's been. Look, to me, the signs are moving that they're starting to realise that Isak wants to join Liverpool and nobody else. Does that mean they sell to us? That remains to be seen. Alexander Isak's dream is Liverpool, writes Fabrizio Romano. So it's really becoming clear that Isak is doing his part in all of this, making it be known he's no interest in going to Saudi. Liverpool is the club that he wants to move to. The final decision will, of course, rest with Newcastle. But if you ask me for my opinion, I do think we're trending towards a potential Alexander Isak sale. When Liverpool's new kits are launched on August the 1st, the players will display their own tribute with a specially made Forever 20 emblem printed into the shirts and stadium jackets, which will remain in place for the season. Hopefully it is the same ones that they had on the shirts today, because I thought that was a lovely touch. Paul Gorst also wrote to say Liverpool have commissioned a sculpture to be made in honour of Diogo Jota outside Anfield, while the players will wear a patch to remember their colleague during the 2 games in Asia, starting today against AC Milan. Next up, Ben Jacob said Alexander Isak is not currently engaging with Al Hilal. Instead, a move for Darwin Núñez from Al Hilal is possible from the Saudi side. So we know that Arne Slot left out Luis Diaz and left out Darwin Núñez today. He's given a couple of different answers on why, and I'll move on to that one in a moment. Joe Gomez, though, James Pearce reported Joe Gomez has flown home from Liverpool's pre-season tour of Asia due to a minor Achilles injury. Next up, we had a Romano exclusive to say Everton are in advanced talks to sign Malik Fofana from Olympique Lyon. Official bid submitted, and the club's now in direct talks, with Everton also in contact with the players' camp. Everton in discussions on personal terms with Fofana, talks underway. So I think we can safely say if we back off and don't make a play here or try to sign Fofana, it's pretty clear that Liverpool have their irons in other fire, shall we say. And I think all the eggs are in the Isak basket at the minute. And I think for what it's worth, I think it'll happen. But I'm not giving you a guarantee. Next up, Anfield Edition said confirmation that Alexis McAllister has now returned to training following a long rest to preserve his fitness for the season. So there was people asking where Alexis was today, and I think he might be involved from Wednesday onwards. So don't worry about it. He was just a little bit later back. And Endo today wasn't available because of an illness, not because of an injury. Also from Anfield Edition, and credit them for this post, they say Rio Nimoha created the most chances, 2, won the most duels, 4, and completed the most dribbles in his first half against AC Milan. Now, I thought the first half performance was far, far better than the second half. I thought Dominic Szoboszlai was absolutely exceptional. His goal was fantastic as well. Gravenberch top notch, and that ball over the top into the channel for Rio, sensational. Mo looked decent as well on the right. Wirtz looked absolutely silky smooth, and I still think it was a much better first 45 than second 45, but it's hard to really get a read, isn't it, when we haven't seen players really playing in their natural positions either. We've had 2 left backs playing left-sided centre-back in the last couple of games, and, well, that probably speaks to the lack of depth that we have at centre-back at the minute. So, James Pearce said, Arne Slot confirms that Luis Diaz was left out of the AC Milan game due to the ongoing discussions over his future. However, Darwin Núñez's absence was down to a minor fitness issue, writes James Pearce. Do I believe Arne about that one? Well, probably, because Diaz's situation, we know we are the subject of a bid right now from Bayern Munich. We know that there's interest in Darwin Núñez, but nothing looking like it's going to happen in the next day or two. So maybe he was carrying a slight little knock, and maybe the club didn't want to make that worse in case of a sale. Luis Diaz went... Luis Diaz? No, he didn't. Luis Steele went on to say, Arne Slot, speaking about the centre-backs, I don't think we have a concern at centre-back, looking at Virgil van Dijk. Ryan showed he can play in that position. He did it as well, although we prefer him as a number 6. Endo can play there, so we have enough options, but it is true that Jarell Kwanzaa left and we haven't replaced him yet. And yet being the key word there, folks. I fully believe we will get that centre-back in. Totally understand people panicking about it, though. We do need to get it in sooner rather than later, but I do think we'll have another centre-back in before the season starts, but the quicker the better, right? Arne Slot said that he has also decided on the vice-captaincy, but won't yet reveal who that is. Now, I promised you a bit of an update from the Benjamin Šeško side of this, and according to Indy Kayla and a few others, he's been left out of RB Leipzig's pre-season friendly against Toulouse. So does that mean that it's likely he's going to move to Newcastle? Well, certainly not out of the equation, is it? So keep an eye on that one. If Newcastle bring him in, and if you see them still looking for Visa, I think that tells us that they're softening their stance to sell Isak. This from Santi_J_FM said Bayern Munich is getting closer to signing Luis Diaz. Talks between the clubs are ongoing and progressing well, and the German club is confident that a deal will be closed for around €75 million. And that's pretty fair. You know, you're talking about what, £65 million, something like that. I think that's a reasonable number for Diaz, in all honesty. Diaz was not included in today's squad due to the progress in these negotiations. And that should give us encouragement. Because yes, losing Luis Diaz is tough, but he wanted to go, so the club have made it happen. But I think that will also let us know that if we're sanctioning this sale, or even engaging in the sale for Diaz, we are going to be bringing in other attackers. Surely at least one at this point, maybe 2. It's interesting to see the Everton pursuit of Fofana, and if we do stand back from that one, well, we can only assume that Liverpool have more tricks up their sleeve. So, I get it, it's a little bit worrying at the minute, but there was always going to be a bit of a turnover in this summer's transfer window. We've got great business done early, we still have business left to do. We need to bring in a centre-back, we need to sort out another forward, maybe 2, and there are a lot of people as well having some concerns around the defensive midfield position. For what it's worth, I'd be more than happy if we go into the season with Trey Neone as a potential substitute or cover for Ryan Gravenberch. I'm really impressed by the young man. And yes, he isn't quite there just yet, but working, learning with Ryan every day in the training pitch as well, in and around those great players in Liverpool shirts, I think it wouldn't be too bad. And of course, we still have Stefan on top of that. That is where we're at for now, ladies and gentlemen, but we do expect more news to develop between now and 8:30 when I'll be back for the late night agenda. If you want the news before we come on the stream to talk about it, make sure scan the QR code there on the screen and join the Anfield Agenda WhatsApp community. Appreciate you all, and again, I'm not panicked about any pre-season friendlies. All I ever look for in these is fitness and no injuries. And look, it was great to see the Reds over in Hong Kong. Hope those fans that travelled to see the game and what was a record attendance for that new stadium, I hope they enjoyed their afternoon. Right, I will talk to you soon, my friends. Much love. Bye-bye.